January always brings crowds of new gym goers, many who are determined to make a big life change to kick off the year. While it's good to have goals, too often people set lofty physical expectations, such as strict and rigorous schedules for weight loss or muscle gains. For some, this one-track mindset turns exercise into a dreaded activity, rather than a time to de-stress and practice some self-care.
I don't think there is any minimum dose that is too small to make an immediate difference on your mood. And sometimes less is better, particularly for people who are dealing with issues like chronic pain or they haven't been moving much, to just get started a little bit and get that feel better effect.
That's Dr. Kelly McGonigal, a research psychologist, lecturer at Stanford University, and author of The Joy of Movement: How Exercise Helps Us Find Happiness, Hope, Connection, and Courage. She says even the smallest amount of exercise, whether it's 3 minutes or 30, has the power to change how we feel.
When you exercise, your muscles secrete chemicals into your bloodstream that are basically antidepressants. And some scientists have called them hope molecules because when you exercise, your muscles are literally pumping out proteins that can give you more hope, that when they cross the blood-brain barrier, they make your brain more resilient to stress, and they help people recover from trauma and depression. We do know that what people call the classic runner's high, that feel-good effect of getting your heart rate up a little bit, of breathing deeply, in your brain, the main class of brain chemicals that exercise acts on is endocannabinoids, which is what cannabis is mimicking. And when you get it from exercise, the effects are a little bit different. So endocannabinoids naturally dampen down pain and stress and anxiety. You have a sense of sort of a clearer mind, a calmer mind. Also increases motivation and hope by enhancing dopamine, and also enhances the pleasure that we get from connecting with others, because endocannabinoids also enhance the effect of endorphins and oxytocin. So anything that feels good feels better.
And these benefits can come from any kind of physical activity, from hiking to running to even practicing yoga outdoors in nature with baby goats. McGonigal says it varies widely from person to person, and that each individual should pursue whatever activity level feels right for them.
There's nothing wrong with pursuing intense movement. For some people, that's where the magic is. I talked to a number of people, particularly people who were struggling with very difficult life situations, who tapped into their own resilience and their own strength through something like training for a marathon, and that equipped them to feel more hopeful about dealing with the other challenges or obstacles in their life. So it really is, the good news is there's nothing you have to do, and almost everything works. And when people pay attention to sort of where they are and what speaks to them in that moment, you'll know whether you want to train for a marathon or whether you want to roll out a mat and lie down and do some gentle stretching.
Devonian McKenzie embodies this mindset as well. McKenzie is a personal trainer at Southport Fitness, a neighborhood gym in Chicago, and has worked in the fitness industry for nearly a decade. He says that people sometimes try to push themselves into what other people are doing instead of listening to their own bodies.
You have to have a starting point. A lot of people start out going really intense. They want to do the hardest program they can because they want to see results very quickly. And we are a society where we're used to getting our results very quickly in lots of other aspects of our lives. But when it comes to our bodies, they're too complex. Our bodies are survivors. They're meant to adapt. And when we run our bodies down like that with a very intense program starting out, we run the risk of taxing our central nervous system. And that can lead to things like fatigue, dehydration, insomnia, muscle spasms.
To avoid these ailments and other injuries, focus on your body and what it needs. McKenzie also says that it's important to remember that you aren't alone in exercise. It can be a very social activity, whether that means finding guidance through a personal trainer or a group class.
It can be daunting coming into the gym and fitness atmosphere, especially when you're not knowing what you're doing, and you shouldn't be afraid to ask for help and to do your research. Lots of people don't know what they're doing. They're not willing to look for guidance. And so they start doing exercises or start implementing a program that they think is really great for them, but it's not the best starting point. It's not the greatest foundation. A lot of gyms have personal trainers, group fitness counselors, really good yoga instructors that can help people learn from the beginning how to build a proper base and a proper foundation and understand how to properly move when they're doing the exercises or when they're doing the poses or whatever it is that they're trying to accomplish.
These group dynamics not only make exercise more accessible, but can be an added perk in their own right. Not only does exercise have many physical and mental benefits, but can also help bridge connections with others, says McGonigal.
Even if you never speak to other people that you move with, we know from the science that there's a synchrony effect, that just moving with other people increases your sense of belonging and trust in other people, and also makes it easier to connect with other people afterwards, even people that you did not move with. So it's not the case, like if you're like me and you're really introverted and shy, and when you step into the class, I admit I'll be the person who's not really chatting up front, but I'll still feel connected through the movement itself. You don't have to be an extrovert to benefit.
Mackenzie says that some of the biggest trends in fitness right now are group classes. It's a setting where everyone feeds off each other's energy. You're trying something different, and you meet new people with like-minded interests. There's group classes for every type of interest, like yoga, spinning, or water aerobics. McGonigal says you could even try a different hobby outside of the gym, like axe throwing.
I've talked to so many women who have picked up axe throwing. I mean, talk about a new development, but how women feel about themselves when they pick up an axe and hurl it at a target. You sense your own explosive power, and there is kind of like a metaphorical meaning of that, of being on target and like nailing it. So it's not just that, but also doing things like Tough Mudder obstacle courses or training for a marathon. Often people will catch on to a movement form that intrigues them, that is about accessing a different version of yourself. And it might be cardiovascular, but the idea is that it's not about burning calories. It's about sensing yourself, about exploring different aspects of your personality, maybe doing something that no one ever gave you permission to do before, like hit things and make noise, which is what one woman told me about her experience of taking up boxing. And that is a great way to choose a movement form, the one that liberates you to be the version of yourself that you really want to be.
No matter what kind of movement makes you happy, the benefits of exercise are seemingly endless. The most important thing is to put yourself out there and start. To find out more about this topic and our guests, Dr. Kelly McGonigal and Devonian Mackenzie, visit viewpointsradio.org. This segment is written and produced by Amira Zaveri. Studio production by Jason Dickey. I'm Marty Peterson.
Viewpoints returns in just a moment.
2019 was a year of important discoveries about Alzheimer's disease and other dementias. Making news this year, researchers learned that Alzheimer's risk genes are different in men and women. This could help explain why 2/3 of people living with Alzheimer's are women. Other studies in 2019 found that vision and hearing loss may increase dementia risk, especially when both sensory impairments are present. There are also new discoveries about lifestyle, according to Dr. Keith Fargo, Director of Scientific Programs and Outreach at the Alzheimer's Association.
A healthy diet and regular exercise are good for your overall physical health, but researchers have also found that they can reduce your risk for cognitive decline and dementia. These healthy habits, along with things like cognitive stimulation, may even help people who are at high risk due to their genes.
Researchers say a simple blood test to detect Alzheimer's earlier is on the horizon. And 2 recent announcements have increased hope for new Alzheimer's drug treatments. To learn more about Alzheimer's research and how you can participate, visit alz.org.
Our schedules are incredibly hectic, and with all the things we have to do, there's not enough time for the things we actually want to do. That's why it's more important than ever to find smart ways to save time without sacrificing quality. How can Idahoan mashed potatoes give you more time to spend doing the things you love? By helping you put delicious real mashed potatoes on the table in just 5 minutes. We start with 100% real Idaho potatoes from local growers, and then we wash, peel, boil, and mash them just like you would at home. After cooking each batch, we simply fresh dry the mashed potatoes so they're ready for you to prepare at home. Idahoan takes the time to create great tasting mashed potatoes from scratch, so you don't have to. Find out more at idahoan.com. That's idahoan.com.
Trying to sell your old car? Instead, donate your vehicle to Heritage for the Blind. Pickup is free and your donation is tax-deductible. Just call 1-800-835-1478. Heritage for the Blind accepts cars, vans, trucks, and boats, whether they run or not. Donate your vehicle and you'll receive a free 3-day vacation voucher to over 50 locations. Call 1-800-835-1478. That's 1-800-835-1478.
And that's Viewpoints for this week. Viewpoints is a production of MediaTrax Communications. Follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram to learn more about upcoming shows. And find a library of past programs on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, and Spotify. Plus, you'll always find previous segments and more information about our guests at viewpointsradio.org. Join us again next week for another edition of Viewpoints. Coming up next week.
This is an organization that took forgers out of jail to work for the organization because they could be so effective.
The unconventional methods of the Office of Strategic Services during World War II. Then,
I can tell you about Sharpie Gate, and I can tell you about Moisture Gate, and I can tell you about all the ups and downs of the Mueller investigation.
But what does all of this knowledge add to the world? I'm Marty Peterson.
And I'm Gary Price. These stories in depth on your public affairs magazine, Viewpoints.